So it's really an honor today to have Representative Joe Courtney to come up and address us.
Everyone, again, I think the governor gave a wonderful explanation about why this is so important to Connecticut. And the only sort of footnote that I wanted to add, which is that when Bob described the process that went through, that started in March of 2009, I think it's important just to add the fact that the reason why it was March of 2009 was because President Obama had just signed into law the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in February of 2009, which provided the funding for the Department of Energy to make this day possible. Again, when Congress passed that proposal, as his remarks sort of indicated, that sort of started a very competitive process. And looking across the room here and seeing guys like Bill Leahy from Eastern Connecticut State University, Joel Gordis, my friend, who have been preaching the message of conservation and energy efficiency for years, we were lucky to have people come together and begin what, again, was very competitive across the country to make sure that Connecticut would be in the forefront. And again, just does not happen by itself. And it's so wonderful to see that we were able to prevail, because frankly, our batting average on a lot of other Recovery Act programs was a little mixed, to say the least. And one thing I would just like to say with the core members here, this issue, frankly, is still very front burner in Washington, D.C. today. We had a budget that we voted on 4 weeks ago in the House, which very unwisely would have cut the line item for 2011 and 2012 for this program, which, because, let's face it, we've still got a lot of work to do in this country in terms of creating green jobs, creating a market for renewable energy products, and obviously lowering our energy usage, which is on the front pages of every newspaper today in terms of what costs we incur, both in terms of international obligations and across the board in terms of gas prices, et cetera. I don't even have to belabor that point. To the extent that we can show programs like this succeed, then that is what we can bring back to Washington and make the case that taxpayer investment in these types of programs acts as a catalyst, as an economic multiplier in terms of creating jobs, reducing overhead for towns and municipalities. And I'm thrilled that 6 out of the 14 towns are from the 2nd Congressional District. We're only a fifth of the state, but almost half the program, which I'm very proud of. But the fact of the matter is we've got to obviously now show results in terms of what takes place here in Connecticut. Because that's really what the delegation needs in terms of making the case that this type of investment is exactly what our country needs and our economy needs. And again, we've got a commissioner who, again, I think is just so perfect in terms of what we need right now in terms of making that case for continuing the change that we all know this country still has a lot of work to do. And obviously we have a governor who is as engaged as any leader I've seen in the state of Connecticut in many, many years. He has been to Washington at least a half dozen times since he was sworn in. This morning, the U.S. Department of Treasury announced that Connecticut, along with Missouri and Vermont, is qualifying first in line for a small business lending program that, again, is another success story in terms of making sure Connecticut is going to, again, take full advantage of what's out there in terms of competitive grants. And again, it does not happen by itself. Congratulations. The Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which was the technical term for the stimulus bill. This is the second R, the reinvestment, that really, again, will pay dividends for many years to come. And we're just looking forward to all of you to come back to us now with all the net results, which we know is going to be positive, and continue the struggle to make sure that we get our country and certainly our state to a place where energy efficiency and environmental protection and economic growth, the 3 E's that Commissioner Esty talks about, are really going to succeed, and for all of us and for our kids and grandchildren. So thank you very much.